Welcome to On Point by Target River, the podcast where strategy meets execution with a little fun. I'm your host, Brian, and each episode will break down what actually works in marketing, sales, and growth so you can stay sharp, focused, and always on point. Let's dive in. In this episode of On Point with Target River, we're going to talk about our skills. We're going to start with a little discussion about things that might be in our lives that we consider something we recreate versus a hobby or versus a passion, and how that relates to our work lives. So let me ask you, listeners, what's something that you do for fun, a recreational activity that you enjoy? For me, I've got many. Two that come to mind are tennis and golf. So growing up, I played both sports. And I really got into tennis as a youth and played satellite tournaments and played in my high school and was a fledgling tennis player my freshman year at college. It was definitely something that was a passion for me at that time. But over the years, it's become less and less of a priority and is now something that I get the opportunity to recreate in maybe once or twice every couple of months. Maybe that's even being generous. But it's something I still enjoy doing for fun. Now, what are those things that we do that we might think are a little bit more of a hobby? Something that's a little more serious. We're spending a bit more time in. We're practicing it. We're doing it more frequently and stuff. What are those hobbies or things that you enjoy doing on a more consistent basis? For some people, that might be working out, lifting weights, might be running. It could be hiking. Or in my case, it's the game of golf. Golf has become a bigger thing for me in my life, and it's become what I would say is more of a hobby and something that I really enjoy doing and trying to get out more often. When something becomes a hobby, you tend to spend more time and you probably start to take a little more serious. Maybe if it's weight training, you're looking at the different exercises you're doing. You're more consistent on your exercises. You might have a personal trainer. You might do video training with individuals that are on social media accounts and so forth. You might be taking more lessons, whatever that might be. When you go from something that's an occasionally fun thing to more of a hobby, we tend to take up the seriousness of it another level. We might invest more in equipment or time or other things as well. Now, what if this becomes a real passion? Okay. What happens then? What do we do that's differently than when we were doing it for fun or when it was a hobby to us? So I think about my wife and I. What do we each have in our lives that have gone from that level of hobby to passion? Okay. And a couple come to mind. For both of us, we do like to exercise regularly. In fact, I know my wife's probably going to have a bad day if she hasn't had a chance to work out yet. So she does that 6 days a week. I try to keep up with her on that as well. But sports-wise, she has a true passion for the sport of tennis. She practices multiple times a week. She plays on a USTA league team and devotes a lot of time to strategy, to planning, to practicing, and then competing in those matches. And I would say in the past year, I've taken an increased desire or passion in the sport of golf, where I'm spending more time practicing, watching videos, learning, thinking about it, even dreaming about it, and then of course playing it. And as I've devoted more time, the theory would be I would be getting better, right? Well, for those of you that are watching that have played the game of golf before, you know that at one round you can look like a potential PGA player, and the next round you look like you just started the game. And that was true last week. Last week I had the opportunity to play 6 rounds of golf in 4 days, and my scores ranged from a 79 to a 92. Now, those were on different courses and different levels of difficulty in that. But you can imagine the swings of emotion when I shot those different scores on different courses. Now, what was the difference over the past couple of decades as I've grown in this sport of golf and went from just something that I did recreationally for occasional fun to a hobby to now something that's a passion that as I mentioned, I literally dream about at times. How am I treating it differently? Well, I go into things differently. I go into a round preparing differently. For instance, this past Saturday, I had the opportunity to play with my two sons. We got to the course early. We stretched. We warmed up. I hit some balls on the range with some different clubs. I spent time chipping and putting around the practice green to understand the speed of the green that day and how the conditions might be as we go out and play the course. So I approached it much differently than maybe if it was something that was recreational, where I just pull right into the parking lot, grab the clubs, and go for it, and come what may. Now, of course, I also take things differently during my shot preparations, how I'm approaching the ball, my stance, the angle of the club, the direction that my feet are facing, the positioning of my right shoulder versus my left shoulder, all these other things that I used to never think about when I was shooting in the 90s and 100s consistently. So again, I've taken things to another level. Now, how about in our professions? Let me ask you a candid question, and you don't need to answer. I know you're just listening to me, but if you could answer, it's okay. You don't need to. But if you're being serious with yourself, do you take your profession? Do you take your work? Do you take whatever you're doing for the nonprofit you work for, the school system, the public agency, the business? What level of seriousness do you take to it? Is it something that's recreation, fun? Is it a hobby? Or is it something that you're passionate about? Something that you want to ensure you deliver a meaningful product or outcome or result for your boss or your client or whoever it is that you answer to? Because we, most part, all have somebody we answer to. Even myself as CEO of Target River, I've got 55 teammates that I answer to with the things that I do. We have hundreds of clients that I answer to in part of a way. So we all answer to somebody when it comes to that. So at Target River, I want to share an example of how we take our passion seriously. One of the things that we do is we have consistent opportunities for reskilling and upskilling. As you may or may not know, there's lots of change that's always going on in the marketing world, from the different tactics that you can use to even how those tactics are used. For instance, one platform that we use often is Google's ad platform. If any of you have ever utilized Google ad platform before, you know that they make regular changes to how the layout of the screen, things are on the screen, to the settings, to the places that you go, to set up accounts, so many different changes. And just when you get settled with how things are, they'll up and make changes again. Now in the end, they're usually good and valuable changes, but nonetheless, there's changes that you need to stay up on, right? And that holds true for pretty much any platform. So one of the things that our team does is we ensure that each specialist is maintaining consistency and credentialing on the different things that matter for them. So we have lots of different roles at Target River. One of those is an ad specialist role, with individuals that are responsible for overseeing and building and optimizing the ad campaigns for our clients across many different ad platforms. And in order to be an ad specialist at Target River, you have to have certain skills and abilities, of course, but you also need to maintain those. So we have consistent recertifications on different ad platforms to make sure that we are honing those skills, keeping them fresh, keeping them current, and making sure we're up to speed on the latest changes. Same holds true for our copywriters. Yes, the power of the pen and being a wordsmith is a unique and powerful and special thing, but there are certain things that we can do on a consistent basis to help ensure that they are at the top of their game in terms of the creativity as well as the accuracy and quality of the content that they're writing. The list goes on with the different roles that we have, whether it's an email specialist, a reporting analyst, a videographer, a project manager, or other role that we have of the company. Each individual has certain skills and certifications and upskilling that they need to maintain and do so that we ensure we are in peak optimal position and knowledge in order to deliver and delight our clients. So at Target River, we have gone to that next level or strive to be at that level where we take our jobs passionately and seriously so that we can deliver on our mission statement of delighting our clients. Now, that's a tough thing to stay on top of, right? So the key here too is to ensure that you've got something set up to track the upskilling and reskilling of each of your staff, and to ensure further, because you don't want to do something that is just looked at as another box to check, right? How often are we told to do X, Y, or Z? And it's just like, okay, this is a formality. We need to do it. Let's go ahead. Make sure you're choosing things that are meaningfully relevant for the specific job and title and role of that individual in your organization. There are a few certifications that everybody at Target River takes. For instance, marketing with purpose, which helps us thoughtfully consider the impact that each message that we create and deploy is going to have on different audiences, whether those are based on ethnicity or gender or age or interest or disabilities. What are we creating? How will it be received? And is it intentionally marketing with purpose to have a meaningful impact for all these different groups? So that's one that we all take. But there are many other ones that we have that are for those specific roles. And when you do that and people can understand the importance of why you're taking that certification or why they're required to do so, they're more likely to not only do it, but actually find value out of it. Recently, all of our ad specialists renewed their Google certifications. And it had been, I realized, a handful of years since I had personally done those certifications. So I challenged myself to go in and retake those and renew my previously expired certifications on Google's ad platform. And I'll tell you, I learned a lot. And I've been in marketing for quite a while now. I'm not going to admit how long on camera, but it's been a minute. But I learned some new things, I refreshed some things, and I found that valuable and meaningful. So as we think about your role in your organization and the responsibilities that you have, what is a thing or things that you can do in order to improve your skills, to be able to upskill, to create new opportunities, and to perform better at your job? I will make a comment here regarding tenure at an organization. Many times people assume, well, I've been here 1 year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, so I automatically deserve a raise or a new title or a promotion because I have served a certain amount of time in an organization. And while many organizations do honor and recognize those lengths of time with a raise or a new title, we approach it differently at Target River. We look at it and say, what things have you done to grow, to improve, to be a more effective or better ad specialist or reporting analyst or whatever your role is? And if those are things that you've accomplished in 6 months, fantastic. There could be opportunity for growth. But if it's taken you 3 years and you haven't progressed, then we need you to upskill in certain areas. Then we can provide increased opportunities. So think about not only the success that you are providing or delivering to your company that employs you, but also think about your own personal opportunities and growth. The more that you pour into yourself, the more expertise, the greater knowledge you'll have, the more skills you'll have, and hence greater opportunities for promotions, raises, and all those other good things that can come. So today's takeaway on Point is make sure that you're on point with your skills. Make sure that you're current. Make sure that you have the right things that are necessary. So when you are working, you're delivering meaningful work. And when you do seek opportunities for promotions or future jobs in that you have current relevant skills that will make you a valuable teammate and an MVP for your organization. Thanks for listening to On Point by Target River. If you're ready to grow your organization with real strategy that generates meaningful results, visit targetriver.com and connect with our team today. Stay focused, stay winning, and stay on point. We'll see you next time.